Welcome back. We're back. Two fans, one Paul. Myself, David Quist, lovely co-host KB Kirk Brown. It's a day early for us, but not a day early for you. We're here on Friday morning, starting your day off, and we're on a bye week, so I feel nice and relaxed. Hopefully our team gets nice and healthy, KB. But we have a great slate of games to break down, and some news came out this week. I did a little TikTok for that, but we're going to deep dive it some more today. KB, how is Arizona? How are we feeling about this slate of games? And we'll jump in a second here.
Yeah, Michigan's on a bye this week, obviously double bye, so less concerns out here. Don't need to check my heart rate during a game this weekend because I'll just be enjoying them for the love of it. But doing good out here in Arizona. Yeah, really a lovely slate of games, a great slate where if you don't have any games on, you don't have to miss anything. You know, sometimes you have a lesser opponent in some of these weeks and then you really don't get to watch, you know, the marquee games. You're stressing out over yours. So really excited to watch all these games. And Quist, I think the first one here that we're going to be talking about is LSU Ole Miss with our lovely friend Trinidad Chambliss from Grand Rapids kicking off the Ole Miss QB room. So give me some thoughts about that game. It looks like Ole Miss is favored by 1.5. The line opened 1.5 favorites for LSU, so the line has flipped. But it is a home game for Ole Miss. Give me some thoughts here.
Yeah, this is a toss-up game. Great game. Both teams undefeated, and we're both in SEC play here, 2-0, 1-0. I'm a big Lane Kiffin guy. I know he's a little controversial. I think Ole Miss, for him, KB, is a perfect fit. I've seen some rumors that Florida should fire Billy Napier, hire Kiffin. Don't do that. Kiffin stays in Ole Miss. He's a perfect fit for this team. They throw this ball around. You know, Land Shark D has been pretty good. The thing is, we've talked about, just like James Franklin, KB, can Lane Kiffin get that big win? He kind of got one last year, but I think he still has a little bit of a hump to get over, and this is another big game. You know, we're big fans of Brian Kelly on this channel. He's a Laker for a lifetime, but that's about it. Not a great guy. Good coach. I love the Trinidad Chambliss story. Decent at Forest Hills Northern and Grand Rapids. I watched him. Nothing special. Would throw off, out the field, off the page, whatever you want to say. Not a big guy. He's definitely gotten bigger since then. Was really good at Ferris State. Won an Natty or two there, and then transfers to Ole Miss. Gets a bag, probably gets some money, and he earns this spot after 2 tremendous games. So shout out to that. He earned this, KB. On the flip side, you got Garrett Nussmeier and a pretty solid LSU offense. The question is, KB, whose defense is better? I'm not too sure. I would probably lean a hair to Ole Miss, but neither team, I know LSU played Clemson, but Clemson is also trash. And it was a close game. Their defense is decent. But I'm going to go, just because it's a home guy, I like Lane Kiffin. Give me Ole Miss by a hair. It's a toss-up game, 1.5 here, but this should be entertaining. It's a 3:30 kick on ABC, which is still weird to me, KB. This should be a CBS 3:30 game. Shout out to Big Ten and everybody in the money. But I think this is going to be a fun game. This will really test Trinidad and see how good of a quarterback he is. And then on the flip side, will also test Nussmeier, who probably is one of the top quarterbacks in the country. Who's got the better team around them? Who's got the better defense? I don't know. But that's what I think about the game. Would love to hear your rebuttal to that.
No, that's 100% perfect. And if you remember last year, Ole Miss lost the Florida game. They were in the driver's seat to go to the playoffs. They basically had everything they wanted in front of them, and they played a horrible game. I think 3 turnovers on 4th down. They just looked discombobulated. So it's definitely the first good offense that LSU is going to face, and their defense has definitely made steps forward this year with the Weeks brothers. One of them's dating Lane Kiffin's daughter.
Fun fact.
Allegedly. But, yeah, this one's going to be a really interesting one because as well as LSU's defense has played, Clemson's offense has looked meager at best. Florida's offense is putrid. They haven't really been able to get anything going against anyone. So that kind of leaves some questions open on what happens if they actually have a good passing attack. And Trinidad Chambliss just came in thrown for over 300 yards against Arkansas and then Tulane. Tulane gave some problems to Duke, but they were able to get a bunch of yards, but they weren't able to turn them into points. But that Arkansas defense isn't very good, so I think this is the first test for this defense as well, or for this offense as well for Ole Miss, especially with a quarterback that hasn't necessarily been in the most high-octane games. Love Arkansas, kind of love the nostalgia of that team, but they haven't been a good team in a while. They just lost to Memphis after getting outscored by, I think, 25 consecutive unanswered points, fumbling the ball in the goal line, fumbling against Ole Miss too. So that opportunities, they just haven't quite fulfilled it. So this is a good test for both teams. I'm really excited to see how Nussmeier, who's kind of not got out to as hot of a start, he was projected as one of the 1-1 QB wire-to-wire guys, and he hasn't played quite up to that level this year. They've been trying to run the ball more. I can't pick Brian Kelly. I don't like the guy. Couldn't pick root for him more. This is definitely just a hate on him. Also rooting a bit for Ole Miss here. I do, like you said, hope they get over that hump. It just seems like every time they get over that hump, they stumble the next time. So hopefully that this is a good opportunity to beat LSU. And I think both teams have a lot to prove. I wouldn't be surprised if either offense kind of struggles and stutters to start this game. First really big game that I feel like that both these teams have, with the letdown of what Clemson was, that we now know. So that's my first pick, Ole Miss. Give me the home team here, and now we're off to number two.
Nope, quick thought.
Oh, okay.
Keep your eye on Ole Miss, though. They play Washington State and then Georgia. I know Wazoo is not that good, no, but that's a weird sandwich game. Just keep an eye on them, like we've said.
Is it at home?
I think so. It's at home, but it's so weird. It's at home, but it's still a weird little game between two big games. You got LSU, and then I think you go at Georgia. So you're playing the 4 team. Weird game against Wazoo, and then you're at Georgia, and then you're at Oklahoma. So, just keep an eye on Ole Miss to see how everything shakes out because, like you said, they have stumbled before. Like last year, they also lost to Kentucky towards the end of the year, which was a disgusting game by Jackson Dart. So just, keep your eye on Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin and see how the season shakes out.
Kentucky was early on the year. You're thinking about the Florida game where he threw 3 back.
Oh, yeah, at the end? Okay, yeah, my bad. It was still a bad game against Kentucky. But just keep an eye on Lane Kiffin and the guys because they have a tough stretch after a hard game, an easy game. And
consistency hasn't been their bread and butter is basically what you're trying to say. They haven't been consistent. You're like Washington State, they lost to North Texas. They got blown out by North Texas. Guys, we've seen Lane Kiffin not have good game plans, not be well prepped offensively, which is really, really kind of the thing. And with how heavy the RPO system is, right? And you have athletes like you have over at LSU side, can they play more man and force you to, kind of push balls and go against really aggressive windows, and that's something Chambliss hasn't faced yet. He faced 2 zone-heavy defenses, so that's definitely something to look at.
Perfect. Thanks, KB. All right, next game is another 3:30 game on CBS. Still weird. Big Ten match. Big game. Number 1, Ohio State goes out to Seattle to face the 3-0 Washington Huskies. The spread right now, KB, is -7.5. It opened at 13.5, so the money's going towards Washington, if I'm correct, which is interesting. I love their quarterback, and I love the vibe out there. I've been there, KB. It's a fun time. It's loud. Want to hear your thoughts, though, first on the game.
Yeah, this is going to be a really unique test. Traveling out west is definitely a bit of an adventure. You have to leave a little bit, usually a day early, a little bit more wear and tear. This one is a 3:30 game, not quite as late as UQuist when you guys had your games last week, but Washington's a tough team. You got Damon Williams, and then you got Denzel Boston. Those are really their 2. And then Jonah Coleman is a really, really good running back that you guys need to keep out for. He might be one of the first running backs taken. Really effective contact balance, can catch the ball out of the backfield, had 100 yards receiving last week against Washington State. But this defense is really my big cause for concern for Washington. Washington State put up a bunch of points. It was a 1-score game going into the 4th quarter with them. It was a 1-score game the previous week. Going into, I believe, late in the 3rd quarter. I can't remember who they played. It was a not a very good team. No, the team before that.
Colorado State, 38-21.
Colorado State, yeah. That was a really close game into the 4th quarter. So I'm just really concerned about how this defense can match up with all the effective weapons, but I think the home field advantage definitely gives them some aspects here. This is Julian Saint's first road start. We've seen how first road starts have gone for people pretty traditionally poor. It'll be interesting to see what the false starts are. And then one little key to the game, one little nugget is Washington's field is extremely slick. It was ranked as one of the slipperiest fields.
I wonder
Michigan
why.
Played there.
That's weird.
It's the turf. The turf that they have out there, I believe that it's pretty old, and it's almost right on the time that they need to retire the turf. I can't remember, but I watched Michigan last year, and Michigan had
we slipped when we were there right in the end zone for a safety, so I feel that.
4 or 5 key plays. Last year, Donovan Edwards would have had a touchdown run, and he slipped after gaining 3 or 4 yards, and there was no one there. There was a few key defensive plays where the secondary guys were slipping, so that'll be key, and that's not an excuse, right? Both teams are playing on it, but you definitely got to be mindful of the slipperiness there where that can kind of play an impact because Washington's used to it. They're used to playing on a bit slicker of a field versus you coming in. So that's one of my key nuggets. I'm going to wait for you to take this game, Quist, and you choose first because So give me your thoughts here.
Yeah, this is a fun matchup, and I think it'll be a test. I think it'll be a close game. I'm been really wary of Ohio State's run game. I'm not sure. I know they've been running fine, but it's kind of like a 1-2 kind of thing. Not sure who the guy is, and obviously you have Jeremiah Smith, absolute dog, Carnell Tate. I don't know who the third guy is. They have a decent tight end too, and Claire from Purdue, so they have weapons as always. And they'll sling it around. I think Sayan will struggle a little bit maybe in the beginning. Once he gets used to the noise and is comfortable, I think he'll be fine. He's very good. I need to watch an actual game of him since it's been kind of a busy beginning of the year for me with games and whatnot. And then they had a bye week when we were away. So definitely need to crush some tape, as we say over here, KB. But I think the difference is Ohio State's defense, and they are very good. They're very stacked. So give me OSU to win by like 10 points. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is a one-score, 3-point game going into the fourth quarter. I do think the noise, that stadium gets loud, the loudest I've been to, KB, by a lot. It's a cool environment with the lakes right there, and they have a great setup. But I think OSU's talent, coaching, and defense is the difference. But Williams in the run game, and then Boston, like you said earlier, does make a difference. They're athletes, but the Washington defense, I don't know, can stop this OSU offense. I know Sayan's might struggle as a younger guy, but I think he's got enough around him and a smart coach in Ryan Day. As much as we think he's a pussy, he's a good offensive mind, and he can get stuff done for a game like this. But the travel, the stadium, and all that, I do think comes into play at the beginning of the game. But once the blood's flowing and we're in the tail end of the game, I think that's where OSU kind of pulls away. But it will be a good game. Could be a good colored game, too. You never know, but probably whites for OSU. But purple and red, good matchup, fun game.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100% here. That was kind of my takeaway. I have OSU being able to pull away late in this game. I think this is the real first test for OSU's defense, and I know they played pretty well, but they played a backup quarterback that was injured for Ohio. They played Grambling State, and Arch Manning looked like a dumpster fire, and I know part of that was OSU making some good plays, but fuck, dude, he struggled against basically everyone he played until last week against San Houston State. So I'm going to take a big pause on that Ohio State defense. We'll see what Matt Patricia has dialed up. And you have Jed Fish calling plays, right? The OC that was formerly the head coach at Arizona. He's going to be calling plays for Washington as their head coach. So he always has a good game plan. He had a good game plan last year against
Was it?
Martindale, Wink, for us.
Oh,
so he's familiar. He can kind of talk through some of those NFL concepts. A really smart play caller from that aspect. So I think early in the game, there's going to be some opportunities. It's going to be really important for Damon Williams to avoid some hits, man. And I'm not talking about QB. He's very, very small. He's like 5'8". He really needs to make sure on those scrambles and stuff he doesn't take hits. I think he had 9 sacks.
He's listed at 5'11", 190. He's from around Arizona, Chandler.
Yeah. So, he was originally committed to Arizona before they pulled him. I mean, you know how Fish make Fafita the shorter quarterbacks. They're a bit of an athlete. That's kind of his profile. But Damon, he's a smaller guy, and he needs to make sure that he avoids those hits. And when he extend plays, just throw the ball away. Last year against Louisville, a team that could really pressure him, he hasn't faced a team of that caliber. Washington State's not a good football team. They got blown out by North Texas. So that's really going to be the key for me is can he stay upright enough and avoid some of those huge negative plays by throwing the ball away. But I'm really excited about this game. I think we learn a lot more about OSU's defense. And then I'm excited, like you said, you have Bo Jackson, who's the running back here. James Peoples was a former, highly touted guy who hasn't gotten off to a good start. So how does the run game look? Can they get that consistently going, or is this going to be a sane game, and how does that look? So that's one of the games I'm real excited about, but not as excited about the next game. We got Oregon traveling, going across the country to play at the Whiteout, Penn State, night game. Really cool tradition. You're going to hear Mo Bamba at the start of the game. It's going to be loud. Michigan, when they played in the Whiteout, they false started. They didn't even get the timeout call. They false start, first play, delay a game, first play of the game. Hopefully it isn't as bad as Utah, where Texas Tech has 9 false starts, but really looking forward to this game. Impactful for both teams, and really both tests for the first teams. Oregon played at Northwestern. That's really one of the best teams. Oregon State's god awful. Penn State played, I believe, 2 FCS teams and a group of 5 team, and then had a bye.
Nevada, FIU, and Villanova. So,
Okay, yeah. I mean,
Not good, to be honest.
it's just what it is at
How
this
much money
point.
can we pay these schools, KB?
Yeah,
Let's murder them.
Penn State has Penn State has bye weeks before the Oregon game and the OSU game, so I don't know
Convenient.
who they sucked off in scheduling in the Big Ten, but they got a little gravy train there, especially without a conference play. But this is a really important game for both schools. I don't think either's been tested, so how do they look? And Penn State offensively hasn't looked great. Their run game hasn't been dynamic yet, but it's still early. And how much are they really testing, and how much are they working on instead of getting into the few 4 or 5 plays that they can run really well, and kind of a more pre-scouted look to face Oregon. Oregon has looked really explosive all throughout. They struggled a bit with Northwestern on offense, but all things considered, they've been able to kind of dominate. But one of the big things, and one of the things that we really got to think about, is Oregon's defense has played piss poor in a lot of big games over the course of Dan Lanning's tenure. You look back, even their win against Penn State last year in the Big Ten Championship, they let up like 40 points. They got blown out in the Rose Bowl by Ohio State, guys running free, Jeremiah Smith dropping his nuts on everyone's foreheads. So they haven't looked consistent in a lot of their losses defensively, and Penn State has a good enough team and a good enough weapons and an experienced enough team to exploit that, especially at home. So I'm taking Penn State here. I really like Oregon, but I think traveling on the road, being in one of these really, really hostile home environments, and I know they had them in the Pac-12, but it's a different experience. It's a different flavor of experience. I think that this might be one of those games where it could be over quickly. You have Dante Moore, who, I mean, has played really well. I think is in the Heisman conversation for some people, especially if he continues his play. But he hasn't done it against good competition yet. I remember back at UCLA, he really struggled the first time he played Utah. He had been looking great, been dicing everyone up, goes to Utah and gets absolutely bamboozled when he has some pressure on him, when he has to not have the first read open. And we also got to remember, Knowles is now the OC. Or DC, sorry, for Penn State. So this is kind of a revenge game after he got whooped a bit when they went out to Oregon, and he got his revenge and shut him out. So does he continue to have those answers that he worked on last year? Was that more Day talking about limiting it? We'll see. But I'm really excited to watch this game. I'm just nervous that this could be an overwhelming game for Penn State, that they can kind of just run away with them with the different of experience level that they have on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, the running game, too, for Penn State, KB, can be really good. It's Katron Allen. What's the other guy's name? I always forget the other guy. It's a two-head. They both came back, right?
Yeah, Nicholas Singleton.
That's
what it is.
They're both solid. Is Aller... I still think Aller needs to take a step in his game. He's a good quarterback. He's got everything you look for. If NFL scouts, tall, big arm, oh, shit. But he can't. He hasn't stepped up when he needs to. I think he could. I feel like last year KBI hyped him up a lot, and it just didn't happen. And it's another game where it could happen. And he's at home. It's at night. It's a whiteout. It's going to be on NBC. It's going to be loud, like you said. Michigan was a delay game a couple years ago. But does James Franklin piss down his fucking leg again is my question. Because Dan Lanning can get his guys going. I don't know if anybody saw their speeches. I haven't seen it this year, but last year he had some really damn good speeches to get his guys going. I do think the coaching, obviously Dante Moore was with Chip Kelly when he was at UCLA. Good coach to be with. I think he hopefully has grown a little bit after sitting last year under Gabriel, and I think he's been better. Obviously not been tested, like you said, agree. DeCorian Moore, freshman receiver at Oregon, has been fucking killing it. He's kind of his go-to guy. He's very good as well. The running game, I think, is interesting. I said Penn State's got two-headed monster. The guy for Oregon has been doing okay. They haven't played great competition. The question is the defense for me on both sides, KB, and I still don't know. Like you said, they played nobody. But I don't trust James Franklin. I just can't. So give me the Ducks. Quack, quack. I should play the sound since I used to do it all the time last year. Where is it? We're doing it live. And quack, quack, baby. Give me Dante Moore. I think that he's grown. I don't trust Aller. I don't trust Franklin. And I think that's the difference. I do think it's a great matchup, and it's going to be a close game in the fourth quarter. I'm kind of curious what the uniform is for Oregon, too. Keep your eyes on that. Always a good uniform. But I think this will be an entertaining game. I just think, like I said, I can't trust this James Franklin pisses down his leg.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, Franklin has won so many. I wouldn't call them like middle of the road game, but like just above middle of the road. but he hadn't cemented himself in big games, and
He did
he got
last
a really
year.
lucky draw. He got a really lucky draw last year, right? He was able to play SMU at home when it was 30 degrees out. Kevin Jennings pissed down his leg
He did.
through some horrible passes. Then they go out and play Boise State, the only Group of Five team that was in there, and it was basically one player. And then when you think about it, how did they lose their game to Notre Dame? They were in it, and Alar makes a horrible mistake when they were driving. They piss down their leg and lose. I think the thing with Alar is it just never looks easy or fun
It should be.
or efficient.
He's like in his
And
fifth year.
Yeah, he's a fourth. I think he's a true. He's a true
senior. Okay.
No,
Let me look.
that might. I can't remember.
It says
But yeah,
senior.
I mean, it just doesn't ever look easy for him. It doesn't ever look efficient. It doesn't ever look clean. He's a bit clunky in the pocket, so I definitely get what you're saying there. But they've upgraded at receiver.
Where's that kid from?
So I
Penn
think
yet?
that,
Is he a transfer? Syracuse.
yeah, I think their whole entire receiving core is transfers.
Oh wow.
But I mean, I think that there's a lot of opportunity here, and I think this is more so like neither of these teams are going to be out of the playoff as a result of this.
Agree.
Neither of these teams are going to be like written out, good or bad. But I think this is definitely a learning moment for like key things, and we got to kind of key into that more. Obviously, I want everyone that gets in to be undefeated. I want Oregon to kind of go undefeated or Penn State to go undefeated. But this is just a learning curve, honestly, for the team, and that's the positive and negative impact of the playoff, right? Is every game isn't as important as it was in previous years when there was only 4 teams that could get in. You'd be like, oh my God, this is the be-all, end-all of the season. Now it's like, it's early. Early losses to ranked teams don't really impact anyone. What's the outcome? And that doesn't mean I don't care about the outcome, but it's more so what do the negatives look like? Is it like, I know Oregon replaced a good bit on their D-line. If they get ran over, is it like, ooh, like, we need to have some questions about their D-line. Is it Penn State's O-line? I don't know, they replaced some guys. Is it still that they can't get open on the outside and Alar look like he hasn't taken a step? Like, Alar, and this is just a quick comparison, and then we can move on to the interesting tidbits of info that came out. But, like, watching MSU's QB play, the jump he's made from sophomore to junior year, everything looks so much cleaner. And I just don't know if we've seen that from Alar yet. And maybe this is the stage, right? Because I haven't watched him play 3 nobodies, even when the game was close against FIU, and FIU made 4 or 5 mistakes and probably could have made it like a really, really close game in the third quarter. But like Penn State does that every year, where in the third game of the year they're playing, who God knows who, FCS team or some low D1 team, and they look bad. And then they go out against a
Akron.
good team and they look okay. So
Yeah.
like who knows? So like that child's to like Alar difference is kind of striking to me on how easy things look, is that I just don't see Alar ever find easy completions. I don't see the offense move efficiently unless they're really running the ball well. And so that's going to be a really interesting aspect of this game that I am genuinely looking forward to. So, like I said, I got Penn State. Just give me the home team. I like how well they're going to play.
Bitch.
I think travel is going to be the impact. And Quist, this is the first game we're not agreeing on here. You're taking Oregon.
I am. You know what I got to say about that?
Oh, one more thing. Penn State, please put a logo at center field. Your field looks like a high school. It's the worst looking field in all of FBS. I don't care if it's tradition. You guys couldn't afford paint in the 30s. That's why you did stupid shit like that. Put a logo on your field, please. I get the no nameplates. I get no decals. But can we just have something on the field, like a Nittany Lion? I don't even care if it's just like a big old school Penn State S logo that kind of just looks like MSU's S logo, but it's slightly different. But like anything in the center of the field, man, it looks completely high school. It throws me off every time that I see it. People are like, no, that's how football should be played. Oh, just like, all right, then we won't sell beer at games. We won't have music at games. We shouldn't have lights at games. Like,
Fireworks?
shut the fuck up. Yeah, we shouldn't have fireworks. Like, some things are good to improve on. I agree, uniforms, keep them be. I love the traditional Penn State. I love no name on the back. But please give me a goddamn logo in the center of that field. I
never
can't
thought of
beg
that,
for it
Katie.
anymore.
That's a fun thing. I never thought about that. And I got to...
It looks horrible. It looks like it's the worst field in all of college football. It's so fucking ugly.
There's nothing on
Every
it.
time I see it, there's just, oh,
Grass
cool.
and
Where are we
white
playing?
lines.
We could be in fucking Africa for all I know.
There's 100,000
I
people
don't know where
there.
we're playing at. I don't know where we're playing at. 100,000 people looking at a blank football field. It's never seen that before.
It's interesting because like Michigan State is also a land grant school, so the land grant trophy is a disgusting trophy. But both schools are good in agriculture, and the grass is nice. But State's got the nice Sparty logo at center. It looks great. We used to have AstroTurf, which was a bad time, okay? But at least it looks good now, and they take that
They played
shit
on
serious.
carpet on concrete.
Yes, they did. And they had a chariot run out, which is dope. But anyway, I digress. It's been an interesting week, KB. A couple things happened. We'll go first and foremost. Mike Gundy, 20 years at Oklahoma State, fired. Sounds like there's some weird stuff going on. He didn't get to tell his players, or he told his players. He had an all-time meeting, and then it came out. I don't know if it came up first on social media or if it came up first with him and the team, but, great clips. I'm a man. I'm 40. There's more. Great hair, great mullet. They had some good teams in that 20 years, KB. They just kind of fell off a cliff. I think they're 1-2, which is they probably played a nobody and got a win, but they haven't looked good. And I don't know what happened. I don't know who's on the team. Ollie Gordon had a good year a couple years ago. They weren't good last year. Maybe you keep him around, but I don't know if that helps or not. I think a change was necessary here, but maybe you wait till the end of the year. Would love to hear your thoughts. 20 years, Mike Gundy gets fired from Oklahoma State.
Yeah, there's a few things. I mean, it's a sad day, right, when he's no longer going to be coaching Oklahoma State. I believe I read something that before he got there, they had, and this is a little different because they played less games back in the day, but they had like 9, 10-win seasons, and he has like 6 of them or something. Like, he's been an absolute stable there. They won a lot of games underneath him. Last year, I think, is really the decision point, and they signed him to a new deal. Entering that season, he was returning the most senior production in all of college football, and Ollie Gordon sucked. The O-line sucked. They kept Alex Bowman, which I think was one of the most boneheaded choices ever. They couldn't do anything offensively. They didn't stop a single fucking guy defensively, and it was a clusterfuck. And this year they needed to turn the table, make it look good, and they don't look like they know how to play football. They go and play Oregon, and they get bamboozled, man. They were not playing the same sport. It literally looked like an opponent that shouldn't no longer be on the field with them. But I'm going to kind of make the connection. It reminds me of Bill Snyder at Kansas State, a guy who really established the program on the map, but his way of doing things, his way of operations is falling out of favor. It sounds like he didn't handle NIL well. He wasn't being able to manage that money, fundraise that money, and he had pissed off a lot of boosters. I mean, if you're at a program for 20 years, you're going to have boosters that are going to be unwilling to deal with you because you told them to fuck off at some point in time, or you didn't sign their kid, or their prodigy cousin that went to some high school and needs a scholarship, right? There's a lot of reasons and dumb reasons, and so I get that. I think it was time. I think time was last year. Kind of just clean slate it. But I also understand that he took a roster, he took a pay, downgrade to kind of stay on, and it looked worse this year, right? It looked just as bad. The interesting thing is the portal opens up now, right? We got to remember that 30 days that they're going to be able to have opportunities to enter. But it sucks for the kids. It sucks for the university that stuck by him for so long, and he had so many great and important press conference moments where he talked about I'm a man, I'm a grown man. Yell at me, don't yell at the kid that goes to the class that shows up on time. That's a good kid. That's one of my favorite.
There's another one in there I'm forgetting. There's another one recently.
There's so many good ones, and so I think we all need to kind of give yourself a clap. Thank you, Mike Gundy, for all you give in the game. I hope you land on your feet somewhere. I hope you end up going at a different place and maybe being an analyst for a year before maybe I don't even know what side of the ball he's more popular on, offense or defense. I believe it was offense, but who knows? And it's an interesting dynamic for Oklahoma State because the Big 12 is, kind of a power vacuum. There needs to be teams after Texas and Oklahoma left and them getting all the Pac-12 school. There needs to be teams there that step up and can kind of become the face of that league. Texas Tech just oil bearing their way into it, right?
They did.
Good for them. They just went out and beat Utah, but it's going to be interesting to see how that conference dynamic grows. And one of the scary things is, and I've talked about this before if you guys have been longtime listeners, I don't think that conference expansion and the Big Ten and SEC are done taking schools in. And previously, maybe this Oklahoma State team, could have landed somewhere, but with all this confusion, with coaches leaving, with not an alignment between AD and boosters, is this maybe an opportunity that they get left behind in the same way that the Pac-12 got left behind, same way that, Cal Stanford kind of got left behind? It's just something that's on my mind, guys, because I know everyone thinks, oh, it's all done. There's going to be 2 conference leagues, man. We're going to basically be the NFL. We're going to be affiliated with ESPN on one side, Fox, CBS on another. It's coming, or yeah, CBS, NBC, and on one. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be coming. I don't like it, but it's just it's it's how monopolies work. It's how kind of power consolidates and money consolidates and ruins everything. But one of those fun programs that a couple years ago was playing in the conference championship game was one play away.
They got
from
stopped short, right?
Making it against TCU in 2022.
Didn't they play Baylor in a really good game too a couple years ago?
Yep. Yeah, and just absolute free fall since then. So absolutely sucks for them, sucks for their university, sucks for Gundy, sucks for football. But it was definitely time. The game had passed him by, as the kids say, in the same way that happened to Bill Schneider.
Jesus. My wife just scared the crap out of me, but we're doing it live. Other news, John Mateer injures his thumb. He's going to be out for at least 3 weeks. He had surgery. He was shooting up draft boards, KB. He was shooting up the Heisman list. And just kind of a bummer overall. It kind of came out of nowhere because I think he played with a broken the broken bone in his hand the whole game after it happened. I think it was early on in the game. And he's out for at least 3 weeks. Hopefully he comes back for the rivalry. And just want to get your thoughts because I liked his move from Wazoo there. He was good at Wazoo. He's athletic. Obviously, you guys played Oklahoma. And I just want to hear more thoughts. I just think it's a bummer for the season. But I think if he comes back and lights it up, that'd be even more a great story and really pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily a great stretch for it. Obviously, they're going into the bye week, so that certainly helps. But they still have 1 second here. They have Kent State.
Well, that helps.
After the bye week. But then they have Oklahoma, South Carolina. That would put them at 1 month out from surgery, just about following the South Carolina game.
Kent State?
Texas.
Okay, Texas. You said Oklahoma.
Sorry. Kent State, Texas, Red River, and then South Carolina. 1 month out would put them at the Ole Miss Oklahoma game. That would be a home game to return to, and then they have the following week Oklahoma, or they have a bye following that. So he might return for the Ole Miss game, or he might sit out another week. That would put him into the second week of the bye, and then they finish the season with Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri, LSU. So a really, really difficult stretch here. They have Hawkins as their backup. He's a true sophomore. He played at times last year. Definitely more of a runner. They're going to have to rely on him. This run game isn't anything that you can do. Mateer was really carrying this team. So it's a huge blow for Oklahoma. Obviously, Kent State week to get right, or bye week, Kent State week to get right. But then you have Texas team who, for all intents and purposes, offenses hasn't been good, but definitely their defense has played more than admirable. So how does all that look? How are they able to get through this? And, this is the thing. And I know it probably happened on a pass play, but he was averaging like 14 QB runs a game somewhere up there. Like, this is one of the problems with running your QB that much is they do tend to get hurt. Bone in the throwing hand, is one of those crazy ones. But it's definitely a scary situation for this program that, won a big game against Michigan and is now going to look like a completely different team for at least the next 3 games, if not 4 games. Mm-hmm. So that really changes the dynamic of their season. And, this has playoff implications now where Oklahoma looked like to be in the ratter's seat with, Texas really struggling offensively and having some question marks and then being able to have a bye week and a tune-up game and then before leading into that and then, you win, a handful of your games down the stretch, you're going to be in a really, really good spot. So overall, excited to see the changes, but nervous for Oklahoma, and it sucks for Mateer, who is really having a really, really good start to his football season. Anything else, Chris, that you want to add?
No, I think it's spot on, KB. Interesting to see Hawkins. He was good last year when he had to spell in. Obviously, like you said, more of a runner, pretty athletic. I think he's kind of bigger body too. So obviously, you got a bye week in Kent State to get right, and then the Texas game. I think they could win that with the backup. So we'll have to keep our finger on that pulse. Before we jump to the last game, are there any things we want to say about our teams? It's a bye week. I just want our guys to get healthy. Hopefully, Wayne Matthews is okay. He flew back with the team, like we said. Jordan Hall won't be suspended for a game because he got out in the first. Just get healthy, get right. We have at Nebraska, we'll break that down obviously next week. But any thoughts or anything for you, KB? Just want to just plug us really quick since we're Michigan State guys through and through.
Yeah, I mean, everything you said was factual. I just want my guys to get healthy. I've never seen an injury report list as long as I've seen Michigan's in quite some time to start the season. There was like 12 guys out, and I know some of them weren't starters. We probably had 3 starters out, but we had a lot of secondary and depth guys out, so we couldn't rotate as much, and that really is the thing that kind of hurts your team at times. Yeah, Michael Hawkins had 204 yards. Rushing, he threw for 783, 60%, so not much downfield, 3 TDs to 2 INTs. So he was able to spell some games, but Oklahoma's going to be in a really interesting spot. But yeah, bye week, just get everyone healthy. The tiny mistakes, I really want to work on tackling from the DBs, especially when they get one-on-ones with the quarterback.
I feel that.
Wink has done a good job getting blitzers one-on-one with the QB, and they come in way too hot thinking they're going to, Brian Dawkins, someone, Troy Polamalu, rip the dude's head off, and
Reggie Bush.
QB has 30 pounds on him and just shakes him off and ends up making a good play. So that's one of the big things, but just the tiny details, make some smart things, but get everyone healthy. That's always the biggest thing, and get back to the basics.
Absolutely, I feel that. We'll jump to the last game we're breaking down. Not sure what the game of the week is, KB. All these games are stacked. So last game we're breaking down is Alabama goes to Georgia, 7:30 on ABC. The current line is -3.5 to Georgia.
It was 2.5 earlier this week.
Okay, well, ESPN bet opened at 3.5, so every book's a little bit different from what I'm seeing. I don't know if Kellen DeBoer has that dog in him like Nick Saban did. And, I heard some rumors. A lot of weird stuff was on social media and Reddit when they lost their game, and they're showing up late to the hotel. The guys are lollygagging. Saban was a hard-ass coach, and obviously he had his shit together. I think DeBoer's a good coach too, but I think there's very different. I think Kellen DeBoer's that younger vibe, kind of let the guys do what they want a little bit. Nick Saban was like, we're doing it my way or you're gone. But he'd also help a lot of guys. There's a really good quote of him and a good press conference with a guy that actually played at Michigan State, and then he was really good in the NFL, Musa Muhammad. Good story, look it up. But I think that's the difference for me. I think, obviously, Georgia guys, they like to drive fast and whatnot and get speeding tickets. But anyway, Kirby can get his guys going on the field, KB. I think that's the difference. I think Gunnar Stockton's a good quarterback. They have athletes, their defense will be flying around, and I just don't know if I think Bama's taking a little bit step down. And Alabama fans, you can be okay with going 8-4, 9-3 for a couple of years. It's really okay. It's the upper echelon still of college football. So don't freak out. You have a really good coach. I do think his stints at all of his schools are really short. Not long at Fresno, not long at Indiana, not long at Washington. Only a couple years with Penix jumping with him a lot, so I think that helped him. So I want to see DeBoer actually build a program, and if you fire him after a year or two because he loses a couple games, you don't know what it's like to struggle. As a Michigan State fan, we've had our ups and downs. Obviously, in the last 10, 15, 20 years, we had a good stretch. But, you got to be patient. You've been the cream of the crop for a long time. Winning 8, 9 games is really okay, so that'd be okay. But in this game, KB, I just think Kirby Smart gets you guys going. I like Stockton more than I like Simpson. And curious to see this game play out. It could be kind of a shootout like the Tennessee game, but I don't know if the Alabama offense has that much. But knowing DeBoer, he can get his guys going as well. Maybe a game where we look at the defenses and truly see who's better, and I would lean Georgia, given their name and how they played the last couple years.
Yeah, I have no idea how to predict this game, right? Georgia hasn't been able to run the ball. Bama hasn't been able to run the ball. Doesn't seem like a traditional Bama-Georgia team with controlling the trenches. Both O-lines are okay, but I know Bama's O-line had huge aspirations this year, and they simply haven't played well, all things considered. If you go back to the FSU game, they got absolutely manhandled in the trenches on both sides. Ty Simpson was running for his life in that game, and since then he's been okay, but this is another road environment, and Bama hasn't handled road environments well. Georgia, I believe, has the second longest winning streak after Washington in the country of at-home wins in a row. I think you're going to go down there, and I think you're going to get another Garrett Bama team, because I'm not out on DeBoer, but I'm out on the way that DeBoer has to win games isn't the way that Georgia won games. I don't think it aligns. Last year, they got out to a huge lead, 28-0, I believe it was, before the end of the first, and they still almost blew that game. and that was at home. I just don't think that they're going to give Ty Simpson time to get through a bunch of plays to get down his reads, because this Alabama receiving core is one of the best in the country. I'd put it just below Ohio State's. There's so many good receivers on this roster. Jeremy Bernard, former Spartan
Dog, that hurts. That was like 3 years ago with Keon Coleman and Jaden Reed. We were stacked that year, and K9. Yeah, maybe the year after. It doesn't matter. He was a Spartan Dog for a little bit.
And then you have Ryan Williams, who's really good. You have a bunch of other guys on that team that can pass catch. But I think when you go into road environments, what travels? Defense and running games. Passing games sometimes struggle, especially with communication issues. They're going to be in the shotgun a lot. They're not going to line up under center, be able to really do any of that run game. And I think that really hurts them just in the impact of being consistent. I think that's definitely one of the parts where definitely even at the end of the Saban era, they didn't really run the ball consistently with the running backs. They weren't that powerful, grinding offensive line. They'd kind of moved into more passing attack. And I think that's just a less consistent offense to take on the road in these really hostile environments where the game speeds up because you can't really hear the snap. Your left tackle, right tackle get off the line a little bit slower because they have to react to the ball, or they have to react to the... And I just think that those types of things really lead to some errors on the offense. So with that being said, I'm taking Georgia in this game. I think they're going to be able to handle it. I think this is going to spell doom for Kalen DeBoer, even though I really, really like him as a football coach.
They're going to lose their mind.
People are going to lose their mind. This is really, really important. I think that even though Georgia's the undefeated team, even though Georgia already played a ranked game, already won their ranked game, went on the road, I think all of the pressure is on Bama not to start the season going 2-2 and basically have their season be over before we get into an October. And I think that's one of the big implications in this. Even as good as FSU looked, I just think Georgia's going to be able to do enough. I think their offense is going to be explosive enough. And I just really don't trust that defense that at times is just way too predictable. Lollygags, isn't strong on the trenches, doesn't get after the quarterback, and doesn't tackle well. It's just not a key to success to win on the road. So give me Georgia to continue their win streak. I like Gunnar Stockton. I saw a lot of upside from him. And I think they're going to continue to run the ball, and I expect to see a little bit more misdirection from this Georgia offense, especially with how much Alabama really, really struggled with it when they played FSU earlier this year.
Yeah, nothing else to add, KB. I got to correct myself. Jeremy Bernard was on the 22-23 team, not 21. I don't want to be looking like a fool over here. He's really good. Wish we had him. It'd be great, but we don't. And obviously he went to Washington, and then he followed DeBoer to Alabama, and I think he's electric, KB, so keep an eye on him and Ryan Williams. I don't have anything else. I'm looking forward to this slate of games, KB. I have a date night, though. I'll probably miss a little bit of the night games, but I can always crush tape and have a great Sunday along with watching. Hopefully the Lions get another win. But thank you guys as always. As always, we're grinding Twitter, we're grinding TikTok, and we're grinding Spotify and YouTube. Please rate, share, subscribe, whatever it is. Tell whoever KB said last time, your cousin's aunt, uncle, whatever the hell he fucking said. But thanks as always. We appreciate you guys. And I did add something to Twitter and stuff. I'm going to self-plug KB. It's called Get Us a Cup of Coffee. If you want to support us, you can donate $1, $5 to support the podcast so I can put a little more money in whatnot into ads and get us out there because we're grinding. I don't like doing that, but it's the God-given truth. Thank you so much. Go Green.
Yeah, 100%. And all that money is going to be sent back into the system, right? We're not going to
That's right.
We're not asking for a lot. And of course, don't feel obligated to send anything at all because we're going to continue the content grind regardless.
True.
But with all that being said, yeah, Quist, really good point. Appreciate everyone for listening. I'm excited for this weekend. Gotta have date nights, guys. Anyone who's in a relationship, even college football, right? You got to do some date nights, right? You can't have all of the weekends all to yourself. Even if that's taking some Friday nights away from you guys gaming with the boys, it's always important to kind of manage your life, right? I love football. I watch as much of it. When Sunday comes around, I'm watching games that I didn't see. I'm watching the condensed games. I'm watching them Monday, Tuesday, all that stuff. But it's always really important to make sure that you have balance in your life as much as you possibly can. So with all that being said, we appreciate you. Make sure you make us a listener. We release twice a week, and then obviously Quist is grinding, especially on Twitter. So shout out to Quist for all the work that he does behind the scenes.
TikTok, baby.
In TikTok, yeah. So thank you guys as always. and we will see you next week after this awesome slate of games. Go Blue.